And there is a great show going on at any time of day. Sometimes some curiosities. We found out last week about how some of the livestock were being blow-dried at some of the some of the shows that are going on across the country. There's a big one in Edmonton as well. Toronto, good that you're here. Our weather show for today, 7 degrees this evening and snowfall across northern Ontario. Oh, it's on the way, 15 to 30 centimeters. And that's on top of what already fell this weekend. Chris Willis, North Bay, Ontario, welcome to winter. We've got some very cold temperatures coming our way. Warm front sliding through. It's been fairly comfortable today, hasn't it? While the cold Arctic air has been settling in. That low is taking a slightly more northerly track, which means that we don't have a risk of wet snow here at all. We had talked about that possibility last week when the forecast models were still diverging rather than converging in consensus. That's certainly a consensus here. Extensive snow and some pretty decent amounts of freezing rain as well, coating some of the roads in the Nickel Belt region this evening. Tomorrow afternoon, let's not get totally ahead of ourselves. Tomorrow is Remembrance Day, being marked around the world and here at home, both in Toronto and in Oakville and Hamilton and in Ottawa. It's going to be a fairly calm pattern. Some sunshine, mix of sun and cloud. Temperatures dropping, though, into Wednesday and dropping even further in the long-range forecast. Look at these highs. We should still be around 9 or 10 at this time of year, but instead from 14 to 5, that's about a 10-degree drop. Could be worse. It is minus 14, if that, in Calgary and in Edmonton. And here's a look at maybe a touch of wet snow, 40% chance on Thursday, colder weekend ahead. Did you do your garden cleanup this weekend? I'm really impressed to see how much color is still in my garden. Canadians seeing their gardens submerged, but winter has its own appeal. Winter interest in the garden, lots of variety and texture and height. Chilly weather, sunshine, and then we'll see some active weather off to the east coast and maybe some lake effect snow, that possibility on Wednesday. And rainbows and smiles and some great wit there and some good video. And let's see if maybe yours will be in the next edition of Around the World. We'll take a look now at our little corner of the world. It's great to see you. If you're heading out this evening, 5s and 6s and 7s, pretty comfortable temperatures. If you've got the floodlights on and are continuing any outdoor chores you didn't quite finish up this weekend, I got some tidy up done and I got some lights out and then found out before I put them up that they're not all working. So glad I didn't put up the Christmas lights just yet. Warm front here, northern Ontario, messy weather, not outdoor weather here. There's going to be a fairly significant band of prolonged freezing rain along this warm front. Snow already, freezing rain overnight, even tomorrow, even though the moisture looks like it's too far to the north. But it is a fairly significant low for northern Ontario. 30 centimeters of snow on the way coming across the Great Lakes. In terms of our forecast, we're going to see a few showers at times for late tomorrow, but tomorrow, for the most part, the day, all the active weather's to our north, a mix of sun and cloud. Notice the temperatures, 12, 13, 14, even 15 degrees. Notice this. 10 degrees colder on Wednesday and a cooling trend through the long-range forecast. We'll have some westerly winds shifting to more of a northwest wind, bringing the risk of snow showers down towards Lake Simcoe for Thursday. Now, interesting story on our website, not snow squalls, but what was called at the time a white hurricane, one of the greatest storms of Canadian history and certainly of this part of the country, the Great Lakes. Meteorologist Chris Scott has penned it. Have a look at theweathernetwork.com if you get the chance to find out more about that epic storm. And looking ahead to the long-range forecast, whew, cold wind. That's a beautiful crossing, by the way, between the North and the South Island of New Zealand. Beautiful stuff. And a beautiful day or place for a cruise. Georgian Bay. I love going out of Parry Sound. Penetang's pretty nice, too. A little bit breezy this evening. Low pressure approaching. Low visibility. Most of those boat cruises, by the way, of course, are seasonal. Don't want to get your hopes up there. Want to show you an unseasonable little burst of warm weather. South of the warm front. Yeah, warm southerly winds for one more day. And then whew, temperatures are going to drop out. This northeast wind is really picking up across Lake Superior. By the way, marking the anniversary of a massive Great Lakes storm. Great story on our website by Chief Meteorologist Chris Scott. This is not one of those storms, but it'll be enough to deliver a wallop of snow to northeastern Ontario. The warm front brings some freezing rain. We will get some showers in southern Ontario. For the most part, Tuesday looks pretty decent for Toronto, for Oshawa, for Hamilton, for Barrie, and also for Ottawa. And in the nation's capital, particularly poignant Remembrance Day this year in light of recent events, the War Memorial, the site of all of the gatherings for tomorrow. Current system sliding in, and along that warm front, that's where we see the freezing rain, the snow to the north, and that could be over 30 centimeters. Take you further north to this Arctic ridge of high pressure. Boy, it is a powerful ridge. It is dropping, strengthening to over 1050 millibars. Now, that Arctic high will be pushing through Western Canada and deliver coast-to-coast below normal temperatures by the end of the week. So a real temperature contrast. Anything in blue is 0 or sub-zero, and anything in yellow is warm. Coming up, your local forecast and more in our Weather of War series. The Weather of War series, mini-series, continues. Hope you've been enjoying those stories. Really interesting stuff. You always learn something. Tomorrow, of course, is the big day, the commemorative day across the country and around the world. Very happy to be able to report that the forecast is dry for Ottawa. 20% chance of showers, and, you know, a 15-kilometer-an-hour wind still feels kind of breezy. When the temperature's only 4, it'll feel closer to 0 or just below. Especially cold if you're standing still or if you're sitting. And of course, our hearts go out and our great respects to those vets that will be in attendance tomorrow, either in person in Ottawa or there in spirit. Toronto, Tuesday morning, 8 degrees. Okay, so a little bit warmer here. That was the weekend. This is what's coming up next. The next low rolling through. Snow forecast this evening. Anything in pink is a rain-snow mix and freezing rain setting up. You need warm air aloft, colder air at the surface. We've got that set up through the Nickel Belt region. It will slide through Lake Nipissing and Sudbury and set up just north of Sudbury. That looks like where the dominant band is going to be. That's along and ahead of the warm front, as is typical, and way ahead of the warm front. That's snow, and a lot of it, like over 30. Let me get my 30. Yeah, over 30 centimeters. A lot of snow. What about us? Southern Ontario, dry weather. Snow continues in the north. We'll see a few showers, but for the most part, Tuesday day is going to be dry, fair, and mild. That's 5 above normal. Does not last. 10-degree drop for Wednesday, and look at this cold air across the country as that Arctic ridge continues to spread its influence. Find out more. We'll have a look at the long-range national coming up next. Now, as we talk about the weather pattern change that is affecting all of us in different ways from coast to coast, but guaranteed more snow and more cold, even in this forecast. Woo, beautiful start to the day in Halifax on Monday. Now, as we take a look across the country, big ridge in the jet stream, big story for us, of course, talking about the pattern change, Typhoon Nori, how it exploded as far as its development across the North Pacific, really deepening and helping to push this ridge and this deep trough in the jet stream, and that's what you can blame for all the cold Arctic air. I'll get back to the temperatures in just a second. Messy weather in northern Ontario overnight. Snow with a band of wet snow around that warm front lifting to the north. Quiet weather in Atlantic Canada after a very windy weekend. These two lows converging on Atlantic Canada, while most of Western Canada stays fairly dry this week, including the south coast of BC that, of course, had so much rain and some power outages last week. This week, much calmer for weather. A little bit of lake effect snow off the Manitoba lakes, cold Arctic air bringing some lake effect showers or snow showers, more likely the latter around the Great Lakes in the days to come. Two lows coming through Atlantic Canada, all rain for Nova Scotia. They don't quite merge, so we're not talking about an explosive storm system there. And when we talk about explosive systems, it means a rapid drop in central pressure. So it's not that kind of a setup. It's not a nor'easter, nor is it a weather bomb. But this might have taken you by surprise. Is it going to stick around? Well, daytime highs are running about 15 below normal. You know that bitter cold air is with us when you see the purples on our national temperature maps. And that is going to be the coldest day of the week for Alberta and for many parts of the territories too. The cold air is shifting throughout eastern Canada, and that is the change we're going to be seeing for all of us in the coming days. So single-digit highs starting to take shape on our east coast and cooling off as well in Vancouver and Victoria. Southern interior, not entirely protected, daytime highs near zero in many places. So a cold week ahead. Find out more about your specific area with your local forecast coming up.
This weather's
windy weather across our Great Lakes. Often great to see you. Suzanne Leonard with the team here. And that is a beautiful crossing, by the way, between the North and the South Island, New Zealand, if you ever get the chance to do it. There's the warm front. There's the easterly wind to a southerly wind. And that southerly wind keeping us fairly mild through the evening, through the overnight. I'll just pause here because through that time period, we're getting snow followed by a mix and freezing rain as well along and north of that warm front. And it could be rather prolonged just north of Sudbury. We'll still be fairly dry for Tuesday while the snow continues to accumulate in northern Ontario, like over 30 centimeters east of Lake Superior. Tuesday, of course, is Remembrance Day. Southern areas, big population centers, cities like Toronto and Hamilton, Barrie and Ottawa will all have a relatively bright, relatively dry Tuesday, certainly in the morning hours. There is some cloud cover on the increase, and that warm front is sliding east of us. And those, yeah, I know, you're seeing those single-digit highs. We'll get to those temperatures in a second. Just want to show you a snapshot of the current systems and what's going on across the country. High pressure are an advancing low, and this is advancing. And that high pressure ridge, well, take a look. And high pressure, not all high pressure ridges are created equal. This one is forecast to strengthen to over 1050 millibars, way above the kind of typical average. Arctic high dropping through Canada in the coming days, and by Friday, coast to coast below normal temperatures. Imagine that. Lots of cold Arctic air sinking south and spreading east. Back with your locals in a moment. Tobogganing, yeah, some of us still raking leaves, other Canadians dealing with snow shoveling, and there's more on the way even for places like North Bay, Ontario. Making the best of it though. Canadians, we do that well, don't we? Personally, I've never cycled in the snow, but that is what some do to keep fit and to get around. Let's start with temperatures, shall we? The trend across the country. Typhoon Nuri, remember, around the western Pacific and then the northern Pacific. We talked a lot about it last week, how it would affect our weather pattern. There's an interesting article by meteorologist Scott Sutherland on our website if you'd like to see the link between that and this. And this is the coldest day of this week for Alberta. Daytime, these are daytime highs, minus 14, 15. Calgary should still be a little above zero at this time of year. Toronto is above average, dropping below normal by almost 5 degrees, and the same below average trend for Vancouver. So we start to see the cold air spreading west and east towards the coast. And I'll show you the upper trough in just a second that contains all of that cold Arctic air. A very robust ridge of high pressure approaching 1050 millibars on Wednesday into Thursday. So that's very deep cold and a powerful amount of it spreading east and west. And with these temperatures, you know, yeah, 2s and 0s. If we get some precipitation, it's likely to be in the form of this. We just looked at had 40 centimeters of snow close to it this past weekend. Quiet there for Remembrance Day Tuesday. Low pressure, some messy weather. Northern Ontario, your turn for 10 to 30 centimeters of snow. Pretty quiet precipitation-wise, but frigidly cold. All the extra layers, you need to be putting those on for Tuesday and Wednesday, which will be the day that the cold air spreads east. We see rain showers for Nova Scotia. Not so much impact likely for PEI and southern New Brunswick in between those two systems. Snow tapering off, but lake effect flurries at times through Thursday for Ontario. Your local forecast has more.
Visit our new and improved video gallery showing you the latest weather news, viewer videos, and more.